Public libraries get a bad rap for being outdated institutions in a modern world. What people don't realize is that public libraries are champions for equity, diversity, and access. They are beacons of hope, sharers of knowledge, and builders of community. Come along as we show you what a public library is really like. What are you waiting for? Come check us out at Red Deer Public Library. This is our story. Be a part of the story. Being a public library isn't all fun and games. There are a lot of challenges libraries face every year, and Red Deer Public Library is no exception. In the last 5 years alone, we've navigated unprecedented closures due to the COVID-19 pandemic, increasing intolerance in our community for LGBTQIA+ programs, censorship attempts, and the ever-present challenges of supporting those in our community experiencing homelessness or addiction.
I think libraries right now are facing a number of interesting challenges. We're seeing challenges about freedom to read and freedom to choose what your children are reading or what your students are exposed to in the classroom. And this is, it's not unheard of. Book bans happen all the time in all different places and for different reasons. But there seems to be a concerted effort by groups that are loosely affiliated, using social media in particular, to really make life miserable for librarians and teachers and school administrators and library boards and authors, and to kind of overlook some of the really simple facts, which include gender dysphoria and suicide go hand in hand. And so giving parents and giving children the opportunity to see that they, in whatever struggle they're having, and this is true of struggles to do with dyslexia, struggles to do with ability, struggles to do with place of origin or language of origin, all of these things, if you can read and see reflected in the literature, children's literature, teen literature, adult literature, people who have those same challenges and thrive, it's life-saving. And so it's really distressing as a librarian to see this activity which is seeking to, it isn't dressed up as causing harm. It's the opposite. It's dressed up as preventing harm. But if you look at the real world and the proven numbers, including suicide rates among the youth, you really should leave it up to the reader, the parent, the teacher. Let them decide what people want to read. And it's true of anything. You can't expect a child to get excited about something that doesn't mean anything to them. And so part of the job of encouraging strong literacy, which is life-changing for everybody, we need a wide variety of material. We need something to appeal to everyone so they see themselves, they find themselves, they feel not alone in the world. And you're welcome to make those choices for your children or your grandchildren, but you're not welcome to make those choices for other parents or guardians or teachers. They need to help your child if your child won't let you help them or doesn't trust you enough to be helped by you. So, trust the professionals. Librarians have been doing this for hundreds of years. We don't think that exposing children to particular literature makes them straight. So it seems unreasonable to think that exposing them to certain literature will make them anything other than straight. It just doesn't make sense. So this is a real problem for libraries, that people are seeking to limit other people's rights to have access to material, which is, we don't just buy anything. We have really strict policies and procedures. You need to be published, you need to be well reviewed, you need to be not breaking any laws in your material. You're not going to get on the bookshelf by accident. We just don't have the money to be wasteful. So if it's on the shelf in the library, it's probably not garbage. And even if you don't enjoy it, so you might not like to read romances, then don't. Or you might not want your child to read about what to do when a pet dies. Then don't take that book home. Or if you take it home and realize what it says and that isn't something you want to discuss with your child, don't read those words. You're an adult, you have these choices, but you don't get to make choices for other adults. And you don't, as a parent, get to make choices for other parents. It's just not how things are working, should work. So yeah, that is a real problem right now. And just general intolerance. Libraries have for hundreds of years had material and been resolved that we have something on our shelves to offend everyone. It's not our job to have this tiny little band of material and assume that all of the people that might read that material think the same way. We know that's not possible or desirable. So libraries have always had a wide breadth of material, and we will defend that obligation to our whole community, not just some people in the community, but the whole community. And so it's very unpleasant when you are met with resistance to the idea that people are entitled to have access to what they would like and to choose to read what they would like, and you might peripherally be exposed to it. But you don't have to read it, you don't have to take it home. You can make all your own choices, but you don't get to make choices for other people. So it's very unpleasant to be in a situation where we're having to just say these things, because it's always been the case. You go to the library, you get what you want, you read it, you don't read it, you bring it back. No harm done.
Although books and materials are one thing library customers can be disgruntled with, library programs and services can also be faced with scrutiny from the public. One example of this was in 2022, when Red Deer Public Library made the decision to offer Drag Queen Storytimes. The first event, called Fabulous Fantastic Storytime, happened on June 21st, and 45 people attended. Then in August of the same year, we hosted Reading with Royalty, and 65 people were in attendance.
When library staff originally asked me about running a Drag Queen Storytime, I did think of the possible negatives of running that kind of program. I mean, my first reaction also is, if our concern is transgendered people, young people, older people, and again, their rate of suicide, their rate of societal acceptance, there need to be a feeling of acceptance and safety in the library. Drag queens are a performance genre. It's a little different. It's not the same as a transgendered person leading their best life necessarily. It's more of a performance art, and yet many libraries have run successful drag queen story times in Alberta and around the world because it's fun. Kids love dress up, and they love costumes, and they love outrageous costumes, and many of these performers are absolutely delightful. Really, it's a performance. They're really good. So it's really not different than bringing in an author to give a lively performance of their work. So, I said, sure, let's do it, and let's just trust in our community. And we did it affiliated with groups in the community to make sure that we're never doing things for people without involving those people. So I felt good about it, and I was watching social media and other things as we led up to our first Drag Queen Storytime, and there was really nothing going on until it reached social media, not within the library community. So, generally speaking, the library community is one that understands there are many ways to lead your life and many lives over history and across continents. So, the library community, generally speaking, well-read and understand and embrace differences. But when our Drag Queen Storytime left the safety of this library community, social media community, and got picked up and politicized, it was really unfortunate, because the people who needed to feel included and loved and welcomed, and to understand that Red Deer and libraries and society generally embraces their sense of self, were hurt to see that kind of negativity, hatefulness, mean-spiritedness, aggression exists in our community. And so, library staff members that had nothing to do with putting on the story time, nothing to do with these communities, were receiving hateful emails, were receiving comments, had to be exposed to a lot of negativity, and that's just not reasonable. It's just not reasonable. that kind of negativity is offensive to start with, and then to drag in people who are just doing their job was extremely unpleasant for the board, for the administration, for the staff, for the union, all of us. So, which is not to say that we don't need to know this exists. We don't need to be reminded of the hatefulness that can be brought to bear with people who are different, and that means different in many different kinds of ways. So it's not a bad thing to be reminded that outside of the tight, lovely library community, there are communities that are full of hate, full of, I will say ignorance, but it's a little bit willful, because the opportunity to be educated in the 21st century, when we have access to everything at our fingertips, and you can find information effortlessly, to be so wrapped up in propaganda, so wrapped up in hatefulness, so wrapped up in the manipulation of beliefs to create disharmony in a community, it's really uncomfortable. And so this is a reaffirmation that as a library, one of the roles that we've traditionally had, all kinds of libraries, academic, school, public, is to try to help teach people how to find the best information. And by best, I mean produced through reasonable research, produced by people who have a good understanding of the field or of multiple fields. And that means often multiple people with multiple experiences working together in an expert kind of way to do research, to come to conclusions that are verified by numbers over time. And that's one of our roles, is to make sure that people understand that every random appealing thing they find on the internet, everything they hear in a coffee shop, everything that they might read in some publication might not be true. And that the best you can do as an individual, and libraries are here to help, is to try to ferret out what is the closest to fact that we can get on this issue. And some issues take decades before you get to facts to do with the issues. World War II newspapers told stories that were on that day close to what they thought they knew, but it's decades later with historians going through archives and doing interviews and putting information together that you start to get a real understanding of what happened. And so, you know, Drag Queen Storytime was just an example, and a reaffirming example for libraries, that our work is never done. Our work is never done, because it's easy to believe what you want to believe, and it's uncomfortable to challenge beliefs that you've been given by your parents, by your grandparents, by your community, by your neighbors, by your church, by your politicians. But that work should be done before you start telling other people what they should believe. And so, you know, these things are difficult things, but they help us remember why our work is important and what parts of our work are important. So Storytime is about literacy, is about fun, is about introducing kids to the library, is about helping parents meet parents and develop a community. But it's also about laying a foundation where we're trying to help people get the literacy tools they need so that when they have conflicting opinions swirling around them, they have some kind of tools to get closer to what is true, what really happened, what might really happen. And that's really important. So these conflicts remind us that we have a really important role. And sometimes the more conflict we see, the more protests, the more negativity, the more important it is for us to keep doing a thing, to keep offering the information, to keep offering the programs, to keep welcoming the community into the library, because obviously they're feeling threatened outside of the library. So we need to do that work for them and with them.
So one of our programs that I'm very proud of us being a part of was the Drag Queen Storytimes. We ran 2 of them. They began with actually just 2 organizations approached us. So it was the Red Deer Queer Community Association and the Central Alberta Pride. Both came to us and asked if we would be interested in partnering with them on doing or hosting a Drag Queen Storytime. And I was very excited about it because we've previous children's librarian, Jill Griffith, and I had always just desperately wanted to do one and host one, and we just didn't have the connections at the time. And we had seen them being done in larger communities in Edmonton and Calgary, and we were just so proud of how well they had gone and that they had been able to run these programs. So we really wanted to. So it was wonderful to have them reach out to us. The timing was tricky because this is when there was a lot more hate in the media at the same time running. And I mean anti-LGBTQ plus hate in the media, or that the media was showing. So it wasn't the media necessarily promoting it, but it was there. We knew it was happening, and that far right was getting very vocal. So it was a little bit harder to say yes immediately. It was important that I first go to our board and to our CEO and ensure that they understood what we were wanting to do and why, and were fully supportive of it, which it turned out they were. So once they heard our reasoning behind why we wanted to do it and what a story time would look like, they were fully supportive, and our CEO was amazingly supportive. And they were, what do you need? What can we do to help? How can we help support this running safely and smoothly? And I will be quite honest that there was the first story time that we did with Red Deer Queer Community Association. There was not a lot of negativity. We promoted it and we had lovely comments on our Facebook page because that was all within our library user community, who were, I would say, vastly supportive of this event. There was very, very little negativity from within our library community and our library sphere. Our users were very supportive of the event. When it went into the Red Deer News and Area page and that information came out there, that's when you started to find the hateful comments. They were not library users. And sometimes it shows, in my opinion. Library users often are going to be more broad in their worldview, more accepting, more inclusive, more educated, and more informed. There are obviously people out there who don't use the library who also are, but it was really telling that the angry and hateful comments were coming from people who were not library users. And then we didn't have a lot of protesting or anything outside of that first event because the news article came out a day before. So there wasn't, and we had a lovely turnout of audience. It was a wonderful, joyful event, and people truly enjoyed it. We had wonderful positive comments afterward. The children had a blast. It was great. So when we hosted the second one, now it was out there and now people knew about it. And there were definitely more negative comments coming out from, as again, non-library users. Our staff were amazing. Our frontline staff had to field these phone calls and these emails. And again, our CEO was very supportive of the staff. Her primary concern was staff safety, well-being mentally and physically, and ensured that staff knew as soon as they took any of these messages to forward them directly to her. They were not expected to have to handle any of this. They could just send it off and not have to deal with it at all. But the value of running that program was that we were concretely, again, showing that we are an inclusive organization. We were showing it to the queer community, we were showing it to our staff, and we were showing it to the rest of the city, that this place is a place for all and always will be. And their voices are important and they need to be heard and seen in Storytime the same as everyone else's. And when the Storytime happened, the beauty of a Drag Queen Storytime is that it encourages children to be self-accepting. It encourages them that they don't, that gender roles and gender, all of these things that we have been trained from children to expect, that it's okay to see people outside of those roles, and you can still accept them and love them, and maybe in the future it's yourself and you do that too. So it's that whole self-acceptance, that whole celebrating everyone that is done in, it's like a party. It's such a fun and joyful story time, and the children had a blast. Just that sound of children laughing, that is the best sound, and they were laughing throughout that story time. They had so much fun, and there were adults there too who were coming, and some I know were skeptical. They weren't sure what to expect. This is why it's important, before you come out publicly and criticize something, you need to attend it first. You need to actually come in and speak to those people and see what happens in it, and then you can comment. If you're commenting before that and you have not actually seen the joy and the fun and the childlike energy from that story time, then you really don't have the right to criticize it if you have no idea what's happening. So they needed, it was important that all these people came and that they had such a wonderful time. And that was reaffirming for all of our staff as well. So it helped people feel rejuvenated that yes, we're making a difference. Yes, this is important. And yes, these people are welcome. And so it was amazing that we did it. I think, yes, there were some challenges, but it was absolutely worth it. And I know that we will do it again. And it's a proof that it needs to happen more often.
Hello everyone, my name's Diane Weinches and I'm one of Red Deer's 8 city councillors. I've lived in Red Deer since 1975 and certainly seen our city grow, change and evolve, and who knows what's yet to come for a growing city. For me, libraries are spaces and places for connection, discovery, and learning, and challenging yourself. One of my observations in the last, I'm going to say, few years is, no pun intended, we've become bookends. Bookends in our thinking. Without understanding, there's a lot to learn in between those bookends. I recall of conversations with some citizens and emails that council and I, as a library board member, received about the Drag Queen stories. And let us remember to be respectful and not judgmental. I recall a conversation with a grandmother and mother who shared how appreciative they were of that welcoming space for their grandchild, a transgender child, who felt appreciated and safe in that space. And too often, I think, unless you have an understanding or have conversations, we are quick to judge. So understanding people's perspectives, their experiences, and recognizing the valuable space that a library can provide. When a library decides we're not doing X or Y because of this noise or opposition, we are not crediting ourselves to openness and thinking and being welcoming and inclusive. So I credit the library for having opportunities such as the Drag Queen. Folks, it may be not what you support, but remember there are families living with those experiences. And I appreciate the library board's position and our CEO's position and staff for making a safe and welcoming space in our community.
I never really would have thought that Red Deer wasn't unwelcoming until I maybe started working here. And I saw the Drag Queen Storytime. Not only that though, like the unhoused community and the people who don't have the same privilege that I have. And I think that Red Deer has a lot of work to do to be more welcoming to everyone as a whole. And I know there's two sides to every story and there's arguments for both things, but I'm now immersed in a different kind of environment being an employee here, and I deal with kind of a different clientele than I guess I ever have in other jobs. And Red Deer could definitely use some work, I guess, on being a little more welcoming to everyone.
Yeah.
Another challenge many libraries face, especially those situated in the downtown core of their city, is managing the ever-present challenges of supporting those in the community experiencing homelessness or addictions.
One of the challenges that our city faces, along with many cities, is the challenges of homelessness, addiction, and mental health. So a library is a space for those sometimes to come and have a quiet place, an opportunity to use a bathroom, an opportunity to perhaps have a conversation. So I appreciate our library spaces being open to all, and the staff's training and supports that they can provide. Sometimes I believe referrals are provided in our community to other agencies. So when we come as patrons to the library, let us all remember that those are spaces for our youth, perhaps, who are being challenged and don't have a safe place to go. For someone who is out of a job, someone who might need to use a computer, have access to technology. Those are all important services that a library provides. So in a community that is facing homelessness and addiction, it's not uncommon to see those citizens come to our libraries as well to have that time and space to enjoy the books and the learning and the quiet space.
My name is Janet. I am a library assistant here at Red Deer Public Library. I've been here for 20 years now, and I really love it here. We have a lot of challenges in the library with the different types of folks that come in, especially at the downtown branch. The addiction epidemic is terrible everywhere. And so they do come in. We do our best to just welcome them to come in anyway, unless they're causing a problem, which they do sometimes. And then thankfully we do have security at the downtown branch. We have Turning Points, which is a lovely program, and those people come in and they offer help to them too. It is sad and disturbing, but still, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter what people are going through in their lives or who they are or what they make or how old they are. They're welcome to come in as long as they're behaved. And I see it as an opportunity to talk with these people, let them know that I see them and that they're welcome here as long as they behave. And let me help you on the computer. Can I get you a resume? Do you need information on where you can go to sleep tonight or get a meal or whatever? So the library has changed a lot due to that. So now we have to consider that a good percentage of our customers are people with troubles. So we're an information hub. We're here to help them and point them in the right direction if they want.
So supporting people in our community, especially our vulnerable population, is pretty much a day-to-day thing for us here. So we are a stopping point for many, whether they've just come into the city, whether they're just experiencing a change in their life. Most people will say they just need to know how to get to the library because they know they can do some basic things here at the library. So that's a huge part for us. We have, of course, we offer great programs and services for all of our regular customers, but for our more vulnerable population, we are welcoming, we're open, we're inclusive, and we're a safe place that they can come to contact family or find resources. And we have some ability to at least lead them on the right way to the amazing agencies that are already in this city to help them with those things. It's disheartening to me to see that the amount of vulnerable people in our community continues to rise, and the services do not seem to be there for them. And unfortunately, we see a lot of that every day. I can't imagine the level of difficulty that they're going through. And it is difficult for the staff to do that because we want to help, we want to reach out, we want to be able to provide a level of respect that maybe they're not getting somewhere else, make sure they're treated with dignity when they come in the door. And it's difficult to do because we know that all of the resources aren't available for them. Finding a balance for the use of the library is always tricky. We have customers who come here for, basic enjoyment reading, they need reference, they need to write an exam, they need to come to a class, they want to come to a program. And then we have customers who come here because there is nowhere else for them to go. And finding that balance is what's difficult. We do respect customers who maybe don't appreciate that we're so welcoming to everyone. But I do wish that they would see it, take a minute and see it differently. That patron who's having a difficult time, or someone we've had to call about or try and find assistance for, could be their child, their relative, their whatever, and just stop and take a second and be grateful that it's not you. Be compassionate for who it is, and think about what you might be able to do in your own community to help with that. I do believe the first level of that is treating them with the utmost respect that I would give anybody else that comes in the door.
Public libraries continue to evolve to respond to what their communities need, whether this might be insight and education about viewpoints different from their own, materials to challenge existing worldviews, or simply a warm place to spend time and a friendly face to have a conversation with. Join us next time as we explore what Red Deer Public Library is working on next and what the future might hold.